On the cutting edge of anomaly research, you are about to experience The Evidence with your host, 3D pioneer and image analyst with Mars X3D, E.W. Gannett.
Well, hi there. Step into the lodge. This is a place where we leave our regular lives behind and discuss things that we're not supposed to discuss, or even look at, or even acknowledge their existence. This is your buddy Dave, over at Mars X3D. And I was blown away this week when one of my personal heroes, Dr. John Brandenburg, weighed in with a comment on our live hang and said, "Thank you for talking about my books." My gosh, I had no idea that a person of his prestige and accomplishment could even be aware of a little tiny fish like this channel. And I know some of you may not be familiar with Dr. Brandenburg. He is the division head and senior scientist at Kepler's Astronautics. Now, Dr. Brandenburg is a plasma physicist, and he got his PhD in theoretical plasma physics at the UC Davis Extension Campus at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Man, what a place to hang. I wish I could have gone there. And you know, he's authored any number of groundbreaking books, but his two seminal books on the Mars catastrophe should be, in my opinion, required reading for anyone interested in the Red Planet. And you can find them easily on Amazon. I have no commercial relationship there, so I'm not including a link, but just go on Amazon and search his name. But his two books are Death on Mars, The Discovery of a Planetary Nuclear Massacre. And the other book is Life and Death on Mars, The New Mars Synthesis. I got to get that plate fixed. Synthesis. There we go. Not too bad. Anyway, I do recommend you reading those books, and it will give you a much better grounding and grasp on why we're finding what we're finding on Mars. And speaking of which, we have some really neat little treasures, tiny treasures, from the Molly Cam, something Neil Spence did just recently. And my gosh, all around the Curiosity rover are these tiny, tiny treasures just lying on the ground, scattered about. And I think you'll enjoy seeing them. Anyway, we got some cool stuff to look at. So quit talking, Dave. Let's go to it. Let's start off with a nice, clear shot of Ingenuity, the drone that has been now left on the surface of Mars and is getting ready to be fired up. Now, I'm wondering why all the other pictures can't be as clear as this one. But what do we know? Whenever I get an email from Phil Cox, I know that he's found something that'll grab my attention. This one is from Percy 38, and it's pretty easy to see it lying like a cigar butt over there on the left side. If this really is an ancient pillar, it's definitely seen better days. It's beaten, corroded, chipped, and broken as only the most ancient artifacts can be. Maybe it's just a rock that has enough of a pillar shape to fool the eye. But here's why I believe that's not the case. The overall shape is definitely cylindrical, not something you tend to find in random rocks. And look at the left end. What I would call the chapiter, or what someone from Iowa would call the top of the pillar. It's round, it has consistent longitudinal width, it's larger than the diameter of the main body, and it even has a bit of a flare on top, as most chapiters do, in order to spread the weight of the roof more evenly. What could possibly be badly worn carvings are found along the length of the piece. And over there near the right end, we can see what looks like a white number 2, either carved or inlaid. Is this conclusive proof that it's artificial? I can't really say that it is, but it's enough in my mind to mark it as a likely candidate for intelligent agency. This is another one of those great chem-cam GMACs that Nev has been creating lately. I've bumped up the color a little to make everything a bit easier to see. And even from here, you can see some eye-catching angles inside the green target. Could this just be an eroded outcrop of sedimentary stone? It would be easy to label it as such and simply move on, except for this. Those are sharp, clean, 90-degree angles starting in the front and continuing until it disappears beneath the sand. So are these the remains of a mechanical device or perhaps part of a building's passive cooling system built into the roof? That's all just speculation. But it is distinctly different from the contextual geology. And so it's fair to say that leaves the door open for just this kind of speculation. If you haven't been over to marslife.org yet, you have a real treat in store. They have all the images from all the missions, including Percy, with compass directions, the route traveled, and even anaglyph stereo if you own a pair of red-blue glasses, all of it in 360 degrees panorama. The strange thing is that you can't go directly to a specific page within the site. You have to go to the mission's portal on the home page and select the sol and wait a bit for it to load because there's a ton of data in each 360 view. For example, once you're into this context view on marslife.org, you just swing the image to the west and a bit right of that, and you'll see the anomaly featured here. Anyway, this popped out and forced me to take a closer look at it. Now, this really is a miracle of erosion, isn't it? You've got one definite and one presumptive 90-degree angle on the perimeter. Then you have that nice square in the center. Top that off with a ball on the left front corner, and you have what? Certainly not a rock, in my opinion, but something that speaks to an ancient, high-tech culture that disappeared in a heartbeat eons ago. This context view may be a bit challenging for some of our newer members, but just remember to relax into the image, and you'll be fine. This beautiful GMAC by Neil Spence is a selfie that Curiosity takes of itself every now and then to check on the overall status of the rover. It's all done with the robotic arm, so that the end result, when stitched together, looks like someone took the picture from 16 or 17 feet away. People are always freaking out over these selfies and saying, "See, that proves there's someone on Mars taking pictures." Not so, dear Beauregard. It's just science as usual. Anyway, there are a host of tiny treasures scattered all around this location, and I thought I'd share them with you. Now, bear in mind, these will be blurry because these are small items, and some of them are a good distance away from the rover, but I think they're still worth seeing. First up is this tiny cross surrounded by a circle. Is it just a freak occurrence, or is it possibly something manufactured? And if it is manufactured, what's a Christian crucifix doing on Mars? And that center part sure lights up, doesn't it? Almost like it was polished metal. But as we all know, it's just a rock. This one looks a lot like a hydraulic fitting to me. As you take in all the component parts, it just leaves the impression of being something mechanical that you might find at Home Depot over in the plumbing section. Talk about strange. Before I ramble on about this one, let me highlight it for you so you know what I'm talking about. That black sphere on the left seems to be right at the hinge point, like the whole assembly revolves around it. As you notice the clearly defined angles, perhaps you'll also notice that it ends in what looks like a fishhook. Am I the only one who sees this as some kind of latching mechanism? This last one is a dandy, if I do say so myself. Whatever this cubical structure is, it's got a bracket coming off the right front corner. But it's that triangular piece with a hole in the middle sticking up out of the center that caps it for me. As far as I know, there's just no way this kind of shape can occur naturally. One of our viewers made a comment during our live hang, and by the way, only those who join us on Tuesday evenings at 6:30 Eastern Time get a preview of these images. Anyway, he said it looked like a keychain around that triangle with some keys half buried in the sand on the right. I wish he hadn't have said that, because now I can't unsee him. And by the way, before we leave, did you notice that perfect cube poking out of the sand on the right? Well, if you did, just ignore it. And especially don't talk about it or show it to anyone else. Just do what NASA says, and no one will get hurt. Well, that's it for this week's episode. Thanks for stopping by, and a special thank you to our Patreon and PayPal supporters, keeping this channel ad-free and helping us with our research. Thank you. If you saw something you liked, please give me a thumbs up. And please join us at our live hang Tuesday nights at 6:30 Eastern Time. This is your buddy Dave over at Mars X3D. Be well.